Miss Betty Johnson. Here. Mr. Rex McCarthy.
Present.
Ms. Kay Cup.
Present.
Mr. John Dumas.
Here.
Mr. Craig Gill.
Yeah.
Mayor Jackie Johnson.
Here. First, let me say thank you for showing the interest in our city government that you turned up for this evening. We operate at your pleasure, and we're very pleased that you have showed that you have an interest in the affairs of the city of Winsboro. And with that, we'll move on to, we're going to move number 14 up to the beginning, which is Ms. Kim Kimbrough. Go ahead and introduce your comments. We're going to ask everyone to hold your comments down to 2 minutes.
Mayor and council. We don't have mics again. Can everybody hear? Okay. You know why I'm here. Am I limited to 2 minutes since I'm on the agenda?
I'm going to allow you some leeway
Thank you.
if it doesn't take too long.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, then let the volunteers start, because I'd like to summarize by saying we are all here because we have an interest in animal control for the city of Winsboro.
And what are you asking about the volunteers?
I asked if they could have their questions asked during this time.
We'll try, Ms. Kimbrough. We have a long agenda, and I can't give everyone an opportunity to talk. We'll be here all night. So you're free to begin.
Well, perhaps I should skip the summary.
We'll allow 5 minutes for you.
Okay. My comments are actually very brief, and I want to say that I have volunteered for the city for, my dog was put to sleep September 3rd of 2010. And since that time, I've tried to be a partner with the city to make a positive difference for the animal control program. And up until a few weeks ago, actually a few months ago, we've been going in a positive direction. But I think we all still agree today that everyone has a common goal of controlling the population of the animals inside city limits. The question is, how do we accomplish that? And the first thing I want to request from the council and the mayor is that we find a solution that brings people together instead of divides groups of people, because this has turned into a terrible situation. And I think that the controversy that has arisen could largely be avoided by the correct handling of a program. Could I get everyone's agreement that we do want to find solutions that bring all of these people, every group together? There shouldn't be any segment that's left out, because this affects us all as a community, whether we live inside city limits or not.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Just waiting until everyone can hear. This affects everyone because we all are from Winsboro and Franklin Parish, and it's a reflection on all of us. And so we do have a vested interest in seeing a positive program. My comments, actually, I have to do the tough job of going back to the last organized meeting that we had, which was a public hearing, in which I was promised some things. Does anybody have any notes of what was promised and how things were supposed to work? that were agreed to in that meeting. We had a lot of discussion back and forth, asking questions, answering questions. I was promised specific things. Council, could you tell me what I was promised, how this would work?
Which meeting are you talking about?
The public hearing where there were 2 in attendance.
One thing is that you would have 5 business days, and that they would stay in appearance before anything. And then I was under the understanding it would be 35 days additionally, and then we were going to take out, I believe they did, take out the word shall and make it may. That was the thing.
Now, Mr. Gill, thank you.
If I recall correctly, there was an ordinance presented to us that we never voted on simply because there was some wording that we needed to change. Your concern was with that ordinance, although the ordinance that we're considering, we wanted to increase the days from 5 to 30. Your concern was that on day 30, you wouldn't have the opportunity to know if any or which animals would be transported for euthanization, and you were told in that meeting that you would be notified before that would happen.
Yes, sir, that was one of many concerns, several that I had and
Yeah.
voiced. And remember the specific conversation that we referred to the intake sheet, and I asked if I could have a column added to the intake sheet to document that in writing my request. And everyone was in agreement to that. I also was told that I would be able to pull the dogs I wanted in general. And the reason behind that is that we are in close contact with the rescue in Connecticut. To qualify for that program, an extensive degree of medical care is required. You have to be fixed, fully vaccinated, including the rabies, a health certificate, a rabies certificate, a heartworm snap test that has to be negative. If they do have heartworms, they have to be treated before they can go up. The volunteers and I have paid for all that, or we have organized fundraisers to figure out how to come up with the money to pay for that up front. Now, a portion of that is reimbursed when the dog is adopted. But are you aware that 4 of the 5 dogs, I gave you a sheet, a log of the status so far of the list that we've been given? And the first list I was not given, and 4 of the 5 that were taken without my knowledge, I had already invested all of that money in. But I just want council to be aware that what I was promised and what happened in reality were 2 different things, and that's is very disappointing and very upsetting.
Ms. Grimble, your time has expired.
Mayor, I have a question that I want to bring up.
Please do.
Ms. Kim, you said on the expenses that you incurred when y'all are moving those dogs up to Connecticut. What are those expenses?
What do you mean?
When we talk about the spades and neuter, we know when those animals are fostered out of that town, they have to be, once they're fostered, they go to the vet, they pay $60. And the city reimburses them $55 back, and we get $5 off that. Now,
In which program?
In our program, that's part of the program that we run, when they're fostered.
No, that's the program if they're adopted.
Explain the adoption program.
Okay, there's more than one way that you can get a dog out of the pen. The first way is to adopt it out of the pen, an unaltered animal out of the pen. That is a $60 upfront payment. You're issued the spay-neuter certificate. I just gave you a monthly report, which I've done for as long as I've monitored the account. And then once that's redeemed, they get $55 back if they have it have the animal fixed in time. That's one way. Another way is if the dog has already been altered, then I or the volunteers and I have paid out of our donation account to already have the dog fixed. So there is no certificate, and we only charge $65 in that case, but that money goes to Dr. Sullivan, and I have receipts for everyone that has been adopted in that way. And then the other way is to foster the dog, and you have to be approved to be able to foster, because you have to be able to take care of the dog. We're not just throwing them out there. And then there's no fee in that program.
The reason I asked that question is because we are receiving bills from Dr. Sullivan that the city has been paying out. Not only Dr. Sullivan's clinic, but also another clinic. So I'm trying to see here on what end are y'all paying out in the bills that the city is getting, because that department right there, of our humane department, is over budgeted right now. It's highly over budgeted. And we're receiving those bills from those veterinarians.
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of those deals could be avoided by picking up the dog the day after it's treated rather than leaving the dog indefinitely, because there's a boarding fee, and if they continue to treat the dog, then the bills add up. There's a dog there now. Is he still there out of pen 14?
Yes, he did, yeah.
Okay. He came in, had a hole in his head and did need treatment. Actually, volunteers and I were doing that kind of basic treatment. We know what to do. We have all the medication. If it's not life-threatening or very serious, Dr. Sullivan has helped us to do the basic treatment. Had we had access, that dog never would have had to go to the vet. But he was treated day 1, and he could have gone home day 2, but he continues to need treatment for his wound. But leaving him at the vet, for them to board him and treat him is a waste of money, in my opinion. Where we were doing that, we have dogs in the pens right now with mange. We've left a batch of puppies, 6 puppies at the vet before with mange. That cost the city several $100s, where we treated dog after dog after dog. I've brought success stories before and after of what we were able to do without them going to the vet. So some of the vet bills are unnecessary is the point. And to answer the other side of that question, I think I just explained already.
Do that. Any of the councils have anything to feel like they're
Yes, I want to.
Yes.
Ms. Kim, I think, from the way I'm looking at this, that it's a matter of communication. Communication between you and the humane officer. And what we need to do, in my opinion, is communicate with each other. Russell let you know, or put up a list letting you know when dogs are going to be sent a care at some place. And if you've got any that need to be sent to the hospital or wherever, then you let him know. I think it's just a matter here of communication between the two of you.
That is one issue, Ms. Betty, and it was a complete surprise to me that after 2 years of no dogs being put to sleep, I was afraid that once the water started dripping, the floodgate would open, and it's wide open right now. Every Friday, I gave you a list, every Friday between 4 and 6 dogs are on the kill list to be euthanized in West Monroe, to get rid of them, to empty the pens so we can bring more in. How many? 22 new dogs were picked up this month?
Well, were they kept out there for the 35 days before they carried them to Monroe?
Yes, ma'am.
They were.
Yes, ma'am, but now we're getting rid of, we're processing out the ones that were there on previous reports, and now we're getting down to the newer dogs. And I understand that a list was posted this afternoon. So the list is being posted, but there are still many lacks in communication.
Where's the list posted?
You ask me?
Yeah, where is the list posted?
Holding at the pound. All in the city.
Because, I mean, where did Kim afforded the opportunity to view that list?
Anybody can view it. Anybody come out there can view the list.
As long as they come between 12 and
The list gonna be there all the time, all week.
Yes. Mr. McCarthy?
Right now, the problem that we're having right now, and I deal to say this with the public, right now, we're not in compliance with the law. The law states 5 days right now. We hadn't taken a dog to Monroe in over a year, so the city has been over backwards. You see, nobody here on this panel is trying to kill dogs. If we had, we've been following the law. We hadn't been. What we're trying to do now is to adjust the law, what we've been doing. And so that's why we're trying to come up with that procedure to get those days, to extend those days from a pound to a temporary shelter. But what we're doing now is in compliance with the law that was set forth. We hadn't been in compliance with that well over a year.
No, ma'am.
I'd like to point out, Mr. Gill.
Ms. Kimbrough, I think everybody here appreciates the effort that you and your volunteers are making to make this program successful. The elected officials near me. But you just mentioned a larger influx of dogs that are now picked up, taken to the facility. I'm assuming, no, let me just ask, do you and your volunteers, do you have plans for that number of dogs and how these other dogs can be placed somewhere rather than euthanized with a larger influx of dogs coming in on a monthly basis? If you had the 35 days.
I guess it depends on how quickly they come in and how quickly fosters or adopters appear in Connecticut or the New England states, and how quickly we're able to adopt them out here. And one thing I've repeatedly begged for is help working on all of the programs, because the majority of us who volunteer for this on a full-time basis also have other full-time jobs. And we have to do this in our spare time, which is a big challenge. So it would be very helpful if we could get people from the city who are being paid to work on the humane program to help not only wait until the time runs out and then make the drive to Monroe, but work on these programs that we have the opportunities to place the dogs. So I can't give you a definite yes and no. We want to, and we are bending over backwards and working ourselves to death to get it done. But another point is that when you drive around city streets now, the stray dogs are basically gone. Are there additional areas where the claims were that the post office couldn't deliver mail? That's another thing, another big point. We've been told.
Ms. Kimbrough,
No, she's still answering my question.
we're getting to another thing now. We're going to ask you to hold your comments. Yes.
The issue has been stated that the post office can't deliver mail and the kids can't get on the school bus because of the terrible dogs running around. But we have not seen terrible dogs. One of the dogs picked up at the post office, there were 3. One of them had to be euthanized because it had lockjaw. So that was a legitimate reason. It couldn't intake any food. The other 2 are in Connecticut right now. One's in Vermont with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. It's a 72 black lab, 72-pound black lab. But the dog, with a little bit of detox, kind of getting all the energy out, is so docile that it lives with a 3 and a 5-year-old. So something's not right. if the claim is it's an emergency because we can't even deliver mail, and then the dog can live with a 3-year-old, something doesn't add up. Yes, ma'am?
To ask a question. Is there any other questions?
Mayor,
Yes, please.
what do you want the city to do? What are you asking us to do?
Thank you for asking me that, because there are two things. Number one, I'd like a program that's based more on the temperament of a particular dog rather than the number of days it's been there. I'd like us to keep the word may. The ordinance right now says that after 5 days, they may be disposed of. It doesn't say that they must be. So we technically are not, Tab, breaking the law by holding them more than 5 days. Now, I do agree that the number of days that they've been held is over what was probably intended. But the intent of the 5 days that are stated were we have to hold them at least that long to give someone time to find out where their dog is. So I'd like an ordinance that's more geared toward flexible so that it could be managed, and not say after 30 days or 35 days that they must be. That's very restrictive. So that's my first request. And the second request is, as I've stated, we are working ourselves to death in our spare time. On the weekend, we were up there vaccinating, meeting people to adopt dogs. If we could get help on the work that it takes to save the dogs, we would greatly appreciate it.
I have to ask this, what kind of help, Kim, are you referring to?
Flexible hours so people could meet on Saturday. After work, my store closes at 6 o'clock. I mean, we were meeting at 6:30 to walk the dogs, and we very, very often had people come down there after work. Either they had already made arrangements, I had their contract ready, they signed their contract, met the little dog and took it, or they came to see if it was their dog or to find a dog to adopt. So more flexible hours. Help on the adoptions. We're trying to not put dogs out for bait dogs. I mean, I'll just say it. We don't want, especially with pit bulls, we have a few procedures in place to verify that we're not sending them to some place that would be worse than getting a little shot and going to sleep. Nobody wants that. And so there's a little paperwork involved with that. And we have to do that from our desk at our paying jobs because it has to be done during business hours. There are just things, there's a lot of paperwork. Dr. Sullivan's helping us fix dogs this week. I guess that's going to be off the table. That will only be for dogs that we have already pulled out now. But help getting them to the vet. There's a lot of paperwork involved with that too. There's a lot of paperwork involved with getting them to Connecticut. And I'm not asking the city to do all of this, but some snippets of something just to start would be very beneficial. Here's a big one I do want the city to do. The city should take the responsibility the minute they get a new dog in to take a nice picture, not one of blurred that you can't even tell any features of the dog. Take a nice picture of the dog and post it somewhere where the public has access to it. Advertise on the sign on the highway for a while. Put it in the water bill that this is where the dogs are being posted, with the goal being returning healthy dogs back where they belong, because we don't want
We have
them.
that in procedure already.
But I think our humane officer you got that under control now, right?
Yes, we'll get with Jay, we're gonna put a website up.
but that's in the works and has been for a while. And my request is, can we stop killing them until we get the word out? We can, we're steady shipping them out, but we're not posting the pictures. We're not doing, what is the city doing to save them?
Thank you, Ms. Kimbrough. Item number 1, public comments. Yes.
I volunteer in the Central Boston, and one of the things that would be helpful is they hire a second humane officer. Is that correct, Mayor? Has a second humane officer been hired?
Come front, please, to the podium, please.
I'm sorry. Can everyone hear? Okay. We were informed that the person who was previously listed as the athletic director has now taken on a position of a second humane officer. If that is correct, is there a way to extend the hours at the pen so that maybe they're open till 6 or 7 so that the public can come view the dogs in hopes of returning them? As of now, with the pens being open from 12 to 2, basically for the public, people work, they can't get in there. There's no way for people to see if this is their dog to return them to a home. So I would like to know, when the second humane officer starts working, I guess, because I've been volunteering, I haven't seen him up there. Would it be possible to?
It's something that we can look into.
Okay.
And we will. Thank you.
Okay, can I ask one more question, please?
Okay.
Is there any, we were supposed to get new rules for the volunteers as far as working at the city pound.
Excuse me?
Those were promised on the 6th. We still have not gotten those. We would like to continue working the dogs in the afternoon so that we can temperament test them.
Mayor,
Yes.
yes, we'll have that posted for y'all tomorrow.
Okay. Is there any after hours?
No.
No. Okay. So, thank you.
Okay.
I have 2 questions for you, Mayor. First question is, I want to know, how do you feel about those dogs? How do you feel about it?
I feel that I feel that when people will assume the responsibility of a good owner, it's something that I really appreciate. And when you say, well, how do I feel about it? For 2.5 years, I have been at odds with the council because I have not really stood behind the ordinance that said we should take the dogs after 5 days. So we haven't taken a dog for 2.5 years to West Monroe Dog Pound. I did that in an effort to work with Ms. Kimbrough, who is passionate towards caring for dogs and planning for dogs. She and I have gone on trips on weekends to at other dog sites to see how they were caring for their dogs. We have went to visit other locations to pick up dog food. We spent half a days on the golf golf course with fundraisers and an effort to take care of the dogs, to raise funds for it. I am bound by the regulations that the council has made. And I apologize to the council because in that area, I did not seek your excuses for that. But it has come where it comes to pleasing and trying to care for the dogs or allowing loose dogs to run loose in our community. That has been a major problem, that dogs have run loose. It's been a problem to the point that in certain communities, the postal were not able to deliver mail in that community because of, loose dogs in that area. And so, because of that, we really fell back and we took a firm stand on the policy that the city has made up, has written up. And I get no pleasure out of enforcing that part of my law, but it is, it's a duty that I have. At 14 years on the police department, I got no pleasure of a lot of the things that I had to do, a lot of the arrests that I had to make, but it was my job. Right now, I have to rely back, and there's two sides of it. There's a side of people who would like to save dogs, and there's a side of people who would like to get the dogs off the street. That is a danger and a nuisance to their children and to themselves. And so I'm stuck in the middle of enforcing the law of those who has appointed me in this position. And I'm glad you asked this question because it gives me an opportunity to brief a little bit and to allow people to know just where I stand. I stand with the city of Winsboro and keeping our streets free of damaging, threatening damage, to our community. Thank you.
Do I have time to ask you one more question?
Yes.
Yes, I have another question. In our community, dogs are the last thing we're worried about. And me here from Winsboro, pride of dogs. You won't even understand what's going on over the slough and the bill. It's bigger than dogs. Like, we all are passionate for our city, but passionate about dogs is something that we don't care that much about because we have so much other stuff going on in our city. Like every night, man, do you go outside when we stay? Like, do you go outside at nighttime, all the kids walking around? You should be worried about education. Who cares about a dog right now? And that's how I feel.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm one of the volunteers that works at the pound, and I don't think any rational person expects the city to take up the cost of saving every single stray dog in the town. There's no way anybody in any city in America could do that because people don't take the responsibility to spay and neuter their dogs. They just run wild and keep having more puppies, and that's why we're in the situation we're in. However, the things that we would like to do are things that would be at no cost to the city. Yes, we understand that some dogs will have to be put down because there are others that will have to take their place in the city pound. But my question is, what can the volunteers do to regain after-hours access to the facility so that we may walk the dogs, so that we may post the pictures, so that we may treat them at the volunteers' expense, not at the city's expense? What can we do to regain access? Ms. Kimbrough used to have a key where we could get in. It was a 2-time-a-week thing. The dogs were walked. They were temperament tested. Pictures were posted on a Facebook page. And that's how all these dogs have been fostered or adopted out these past 2 years. And at least that way they have a chance to be rehomed or reunited with their families once they're picked up. Because if the city does not have a functioning website where these dogs are posted right now, there's virtually no chance for the ones that are picked up and do belong to somebody to get reunited with them. Because I know if you do work, if you've never been to the pound, once you go up there and you fool with the dogs, you're dirty, you don't smell good, you can't go back to work after that. So it's got to be after hours in order to do that. So is there any way that we could regain after hours access? Just to do volunteer work, not anything that's going to cost the city any money whatsoever.
It's something that we can consider.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
How much time are you talking?
Well, before it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. The volunteers would meet at 6 or 6:30 and walk the dogs. I mean, and it just depended on how many dogs were there, how many needed vaccinations. Sometimes we were there for 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. I mean, Kim has been there, just any number of hours. And so, if we could have 4 hours a week, 2 hours on Tuesday and Thursday. And a lot of people did come after hours to pick up a dog. They would contact us through the Facebook page and say, hey, I want to get this dog. And they may live in Delhi, they may live in Monroe, and they can't come during Russell's hours. So we were able to help with that.
Yes, ma'am. It's something that we consider, but we can't just consider it in this environment. Let's have a meeting with the Humane Committee and with the Humane Officer, and let's consider that. Maybe it's something that we can work out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment?
This is the last comment, please, by the way.
My question is about the second full-time person that's been hired. How does that fit into the budget that y'all say that we've already overspent? And who's he accountable to, and how was he chosen? Was he just picked? Did he have to meet any requirements, job requirements or anything, or just somebody y'all thought would do a good job?
What do you ask me?
The second full-time person that's been hired out there, I guess to assist Russell, what are his duties and who does he answer to?
It's something that we're please.
With request of what we're looking at on amending these days, going to 35 days, the number of dogs that we got out there and how that facility will be ran, we need that second person. That second person works under the humane officer. He's the department head, and that person will be working underneath him. If Russell is out on a call, that it may only take one officer to go out and he's there, and we still have a person still back at the access of that facility. Within those days, that time of retrieving the dog, and somebody to come out there, we still have access with that.
But what does he actually do?
He is going to be assisting. He's going to be in that department. He's going to be assisting with the humane officer. Because right now, with this amendment, if it goes through, we're going to need a second person in there. And he is not at the same level that the humane officer. He works under the humane officer.
Okay, my other question is, what about the repairs to the pen? There's holes in the floors, the controlled climate that was supposed to be such a good thing has been broken for months. They don't have any air conditioning. Yeah, I mean, the pens are falling apart. Is there any plans to repair them?
We do have that. We do have that.
You got it fixed?
Got that.
Okay, because it wasn't fixed the last time we talked. But who's gonna fix the rest of it?
That's something that the city will take care of. That came to the attention of the council. I don't know if the mayor probably came to that.
Okay, the pens are falling apart.
You see, we are investing, we will invest and take care of that. See, we invested $10,000 a month that's extended with the pens that we extended out there now.
Okay, what's the progress on the new facility to hold the dogs the additional 30 days?
At the time, we hadn't, when we passed that, we didn't have opportunity to get in there to set the form because of the weather, how the weather was going. We don't know now what the status is of that now, but the reason it hadn't been acted upon because it was condition of the weather, or we couldn't get in there to start laying that up the foundation for the company.
Was bids advertised?
Ma'am,
Did you advertise for bids?
we're gonna do that work here through the city, ma'am.
Sorry?
That work will be done through the city. That, we have qualified people that can do that.
Okay, city employee. All right, thank you.
Item number 2, introduction of ordinance number 963, impoundment time for redemption.
Mayor, the new ordinance that we are introducing from the, that come out of the Humane Committee, it says all animals, the wording here will be changed from 5 days, to change to 5 business days. So those 5 days, when they are picked up, they will be held 5 business days. During that 5 business days, that will give the owner opportunity to retrieve that dog. During that time right there, Ms. Kimbrough and her organization, they can come out to identify the dogs, they cannot touch them during that 5 days until after that 5-day period is up. The other thing that was changed in that wording right there, a temporary shelter. After the 5 days is up, there will be a 30-day. They will move to what we call a temporary shelter, not mean moving for another facility. They would just go on another classification. If you're out of pound, they'll be classified now under being in a temporary shelter for an additional 30 days. Within that 30 days right there, still again extending the time, the owner to retrieve those dogs, or working with Ms. Kimbrough and her organization, give them opportunity to have those dogs fostered or adopted and moved away from that pen. And it says, the other wording that's changed there, says after that time, after such animal still not redeemed within such time, that's within a total now of 35 days, shall be sold, destroyed, or otherwise disposed of by the city of Winsboro. That is the change to the ordinance that has been changed from our regular ordinance, which will put us in compliance with the law of what we've been doing thus far.
What is your pleasure?
Ma'am,
Yes.
you said it'll be 35 days?
It'll be a total of 35 days total.
Okay, if the pens get full,
If the pen is full, that animal still is to be there at the time frame. We would have to come up with something we have to look back at to adjust that, if we get to that point right now. But that time frame still will be given that time frame. Hopefully that Ms. Kimbrough and her organization just kind of work with us. We let them know we got an animal in here that time is fine. I mean, if we get some dogs that come in, if we got a dog that's been there, let's say 28 days. That dog still has another 2 days. That don't mean we can move that dog off. Still again, it still would retrieve still that full-time period. The only way that dog would not, if we picked up a dog that was vicious, that when we picked him off the street and right there, we had no choice but to take that dog off. Because again, that dog right there, you can't foster that dog anyway. We got a pit bull that was vicious. Otherwise, no, a very violent animal, that animal would be completely moved off.
Mr. Gill.
Is there a time frame when this temporary animal shelter will be complete? To place the dog after the 5 days, we've got to have a place to put them for
He
30.
would still be up there. When we extended those pens out, remember we extended the pen, we added 6, but we got the room out there to add 20. And so that would give us, right now the pens hold 29, 28 that we have right there, and that's without the 6 extensions right now, correct? So with the room for additional 12 with that 28, that kind of gives us a bigger, more capacity to hold. But then once we get those slabs and everything set up there.
So once we get the slabs for that temporary animal shelter is complete, how many more cells or pens are we talking about?
It was 12. It was 6 we was gonna add, but we had the capacity to add another 6. So we made it big enough, so we still got open capacity there. With that 6, we can add another 6. And we had the room to do it.
And is there a time frame that'll be completed?
It will be 30 days, but they're going to temporary holding period. That will be the new ordinance. 30 days after the 5 is up.
If we don't have enough space to hold them, what do we do?
We're hoping that Ms. Kimbrough, like we just said here, that's what it puts us at. We're hoping that gives her enough time. Hopefully, if we got, let's say for example, 20 dogs And she was able, out of that 20, to foster or adopt 14, and that was only 6. And we're hoping that organization could come with somewhere we can move those 6 dogs out, that their time's gonna be up, and that will give them a little additional time. Again, for them to work to get those 6 dogs done.
But if they're denied access to the facility, it's gonna be hard for them to get those dogs.
No, they will,
categorized as to-
what you mean, they will be allowed access to the facility. We'll still, the only thing that she doesn't have right now that's been changed, and we can look back at, but they don't have after-hour access to that facility.
Right, which they're requesting, and we're gonna,
Yeah, which
we're
we'll
gonna
look at,
seriously
yes.
consider
Yes.
the group.
Yes.
With the addition of the second person, then what he plans to do, and Rex just mentioned it to me, is to allow that person the hours that the young lady was asking about to be utilized to work with those animals. And in the process of doing so, during the 30-day period, we're also hoping that you will find that, or if you do find that some of these animals are not suitable for the program, that you will immediately tell Russell. Then those animals will be put back into the facility, and then they will have to go through the regular gauntlet. Because all of those animals, just as you said, are not going to be acceptable. And they're not going to accept the training that you're going to give to them. So once you find out and see that this one has a possibility, then sure, keep working with it. But if it doesn't, don't hesitate to hold and hope and pray that this one's going to change, because it may change for you, but once it gets into a family or gets into the hands of someone else, it may not react the same way.
May I respond?
Yes.
One challenge with that scenario is the restriction of the time. Because rehabilitating dogs on my lunch hour and appear back at my desk looking and smelling like a customer might want to talk to me is going to be impossible. Those two things, not all of our assessments were done after work, on the weekend, in our free time, which is after 6:30 every day.
And that's what we're hoping, that this individual will be able, that not Russell or Bobby would be able to allow you that time by working extended hours. They've been working in hours that will allow you to make those adjustments after your work hours. And by using him from that standpoint, then there'll be somebody there so you can do what you need to do.
And so you guys will let us know what the hours, when will we know what the hours
Well,
will
they're
be?
gonna work that out.
Yeah, we're gonna work it out. We have a humane group. We're gonna work it out.
And we were promised way back when the new rules, was something mentioned about that a minute ago, that we would be informed of some new rules? We were told on Monday, June the 2nd, that there were some new rules that would be posted by that Friday, but we don't have them yet. Today's the 16th.
He has those rules are set, but at the present time, there was a glitch, and he's gonna have that, it won't take but just probably one day. You'll probably have them ready tomorrow, for matter of fact, right? And he'll be posted, they will be posted at the facility.
Can you give us some idea of what those are?
We gave you that, we'll give you the rules. I mean, we'll give the rules to you. Well, he don't wanna give those rules to you until it's been verified and the proper signatures are on them, okay? So just one more thing.
I have one. Did you introduce it?
Yeah.
Taking case.
I have a question.
Question?
With this addition of the extra position, does that also mean that we're going to follow the rest of this ordinance to the T? As in saying that we will have pens, we will have leash laws, we will have concrete? Those things will be monitored also?
Yeah, those things are already in the law. Yeah.
Mayor?
Did I get a motion?
I asked a question.
All right. Did you get that answer?
No? since we'll have another person on our payroll in the animal control, do I understand that the rest of this ordinance will be followed to the T also in requiring pins, concrete, and leashes? And penalties being assessed thereof?
Kim? Not Kim, Kay? With the fluctuation of the individual, working with these, with the people and the rescuers, it's gonna be very difficult for them to follow every inch of the law as far as the pins, the concrete, and then you have to understand that a lot of these people are living in rental property or rental properties, and while they may be dog owners and dog lovers, they cannot, and the owners of the property may not want them to alter that property from that standpoint. As long as the animals are kept in a safe, decent, and sanitary area, then I'm hoping that we will be able to adjust on them going out and looking for pins or looking for concrete or looking, but making sure that at least when they're walked, that they are secured properly and that they're handled properly. Now, with that new man taking on the responsibility of giving those hours so that you can come in and work with them, we're gonna have to be flexible somewhere. So if we want them to follow the letter of the law completely, then that means that we may end up giving the hours, because that's gonna take more time from both of them to look for those laws that are being broken. Way that they can spend time with the animals too. And that would be time that they would be out looking at those pins. But I mean, we just have to, if y'all will, just take a look at it and see how you'd work it out. But Kim, would that be a satisfactory transition if we did that? If we could work with you and the volunteers, and at the same time, we'll do, if there's something that's out there, big log chains and all that kind of stuff, naturally they'll take a look at that. But, an animal that's being kept in the backyard may not have a concrete slab to poop on. I mean, come on, we gotta look at something. We gotta consider some stuff. I understand.
Mr. John, you asked me if that would be a satisfactory.
Yes,
satisfactory. I don't understand why access was suddenly denied. When I was shocked and not informed, someone else caused the offense and then we were locked out. I didn't do anything wrong. What have I done wrong?
Yeah, that's what we're clearing up, and as a matter of fact, we have cleared it up. Now I think they're going to work so that the access can be given back to you.
No one has answered my question.
But
What did I do wrong to change what had been our policy, open policy, for over 2 years? I've left those pens just like we left them, just like we found them. The dogs were in better physical shape because of us being there. They were in better mental state. They were tearing up the pens until we were able to go after work and walk them, and then they quit tearing up the pens because they were getting exercise. Everything that we've done has contributed toward a better program. What have we done that was wrong that instantly denied us access?
Miss Kimbrough.
Did you make that decision?
No, and what we're asking.
Could the person who made that decision
Kim,
answer my question?
Kim, no, we're not going to dig where we ought to be leveling off. We need to just start from scratch here tonight, make amends, and let's do what we have to do for the dogs and the community. And I think we'll be in better shape. Let's not go digging, because once we start doing that, then we're going to find that there's going to be some animosity somewhere, and somebody's not going to like it, and we're going to be right back to where we started from. We're moving in the right direction. Let's continue to do that. And I think we'll be better off.
If we could stop killing the dogs every Friday. I agree with everything, if we could stop that.
We're gonna have to move on. Do we have
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept ordinance number 963, amendment to the time frame, it's all 60. I'm introducing, I'm sorry. Ordinance 962.
Three. Properly moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Three.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 3.
The opposition, I think.
Oh, opposition.
Okay.
I will never vote for anything you said.
Okay, you're with the record reflect.
Gotcha. Okay.
Item number 3. Approval of the minutes of May meeting.
May I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May meeting?
Properly moved
I'll say.
and second. All in favor, say aye. Item number 4, resolution number 14-0601. Official journal for the year of January 1, 2014 to June 30th, 2015.
I lost my agenda.
Franklin. Do we have a motion?
May I
So
make-
moved.
So moved and second. All in favor, say aye. The record reflects that unanimously approved. It was unanimous. Okay, resolution number 14-0602, fiscal agency for the fiscal July 1, 2013, June 2014. Fiscal agency. Yes. You know that?
It's the same as last year.
The same as every year, understand what banks the city's gonna be using.
We continue to use the same bank.
As our fiscal
So
agent.
moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Item number 6, resolution number 14-0603. FHWA Recreational Trail Program, 8th Street Bicycle Lane awarded.
Thank you. Council, this is the 8th Street Bicycle Lanes project. If y'all remember, this is a rebid. We originally bid this project here a couple of months ago. It came in out of budget. So we went back to the drawing board, made some changes to the design, and rebid the project, try to get some additional bidders interested. By rebidding and the changes that we made, we were able to remove about $36,000 off the price. The new bid came in, it was the same contractor got this bid as got the last one. Total, his base bid was $211,605. Of that, basically the recreational trails decided to chip in an extra $60,000. They contributed $152 and some change. So basically the city would be responsible for somewhere in the neighborhood of $145,000, including $20,000 in contingencies. Do y'all have any questions about the project or any items contained therein?
What do you think? Yes, please.
There is grant money involved in
Yes,
this
about
project?
$152,000 is grant money.
Okay, about half of it.
Half of it, yeah, a little over half.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept resolution number 14-0603 for the Trails Program on 8th Street, the bicycle lane.
Been properly moved
I second.
and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. 3-2. Keith, you're up.
That was it for me, unless
Okay.
you have anything else for me. Sorry, you have any other questions?
Did you have a report or anything?
No, that was pretty much my report.
Good, thank you.
Yes,
I have a
sir, Greg.
question.
Go ahead.
Just been asked by at least one of my constituents about our street program. We've gone through, what, 4 stages? 4?
I believe we've actually been, well, it depends on how you look at staging. We've been through 6 total projects to date. We have a funding application in with CDBG for our 7th total project, which is, it's a big one. It's over $1 million in streets.
District 4 wants to know when our streets are going to be repaved.
And we have talked about that. This year, we do not have any street projects on the book at this current time. What we would do, for sure, if we should find out this month about the CDBG application, which once again is primarily concentrated on low to moderate income areas because of the way the CDBG funding works. What we would do this year, unless plans change, I haven't been approached about doing any other street projects, is if we are funded for that, we would do a utility relocation project to remove the water lines out from underneath those streets and replace the existing services. And then in next year, early next year, because it would likely be after the good asphalt laying weather, we would do that actual street project. Now, if y'all would prefer to do a project this year to use up some of the funds that are in that generated out of the sales tax, we can do that. Or if you would prefer to wait and then bid 2 projects like we did here a year before last, or was that last year? I can't remember, it's running together on me. But we did, if you'll remember, we did 3 separate projects, all bid at the exact same time to try and improve the bid prices. Whereas if you do a smaller project now, you know, there's economy of scale, so if you do multiple projects or a large project, you get some reduction on your overall bid price.
And that's fine. I mean, it's just, we've been waiting a long time, and we've been paying this half-cent sales tax, looking forward to all the streets in Winsboro being completed, and so a time frame is just something I think would be a courtesy to know.
And that is still the goal, that is still the plan. We've got, of course, the sales tax was passed in 2007. It extends through 2017. The goal and the plan is to still replace every street in Winsboro by 2017. And as of right now, we're still on track to do that, barring, you know, another Katrina coming through and the price of oil skyrocketing. There shouldn't be any issues with that. Any other questions? Thank you.
What is your pleasure? We accept the report. Okay. Item number 8, Humane Officer's Monthly Report.
Number of dogs adopted for the month, 9, 34 for the year. Claims, 5 for the month, 12 for the year. Fostered, 9, 19 for the year. 4 cats, 6 for the year. To Monroe, 4, 5 for the year. Total new dogs, 22, cats, 4. Total handle for the month, 57, 4 cats. In the pen, 30 dogs. Total for the year, dogs, 149, cats, 7. Total animals in the pen, 30. Food donated. No miscellaneous animals.
Those 22 new dogs that you picked up, Russell, what area did you pick those dogs, the bulk of those dogs, what area were they picked up at?
Over the slough in the bill.
Mr. Russell?
Yes, sir.
I have to get recognized.
Yes.
Thank you. Last month, we asked, and I know the food was donated, but still, the question to the council is, how many pounds of food have we used? And I'd like for you to keep track of that for next month, and each month following that, good, let us know how many pounds of food. Because it may not be donated one day, we'll have to go buy, so we need to know. All right, okay.
May I make a motion that we accept the main officer's monthly report?
Been properly moved
Second.
and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that unanimously approved. Fire Chief monthly report, he left his report here, we'll read it.
Private dwellings, 4 in town, 0 out of town, total for the year 16. Mobile homes, 0 in town, 0 out of town, total for the year 1. Vehicles, 1 in town, 0 out of town, total 7 for the year. Grass, brush, and rubbish, 1 in town, 3 out of town, total for the year 39. Rescue, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 5 total for the year. Machinery, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 0 for the year. Apartments, 0 in town and out of town and for the year. Motels, 0 in town, out of town and for the year. Public assembly, 0 in town, out of town and total for the year. Schools, 0 in town, out of town and total for the year. Hospitals and nursing homes, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 1 total for the year. Business, 1 in town, 1 out of town, total of 5 for the year. Helicopter assist, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 4 total for the year. Fire alarm, 0 in town, 0 out of town, total for the year is 11. Storage, 0 in town, 1 out of town, 1 total for the year. Services, 0 in town, 1 out of town, 9 total for the year. Hazardous materials, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 0 total for the year. Mutual aid, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 2 is total for the year. Fireworks standby, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 0 total for the year. False alarms, 1 in town, 0 out of town, 3 total for the year. Miscellaneous, 0 in town, 0 out of town, 1 total for the year. A total of 8 in town, 6 out of town, and 105 total for the year. Year-to-date, 105, calls this month, 14, total 105.
Move to accept.
Before we accept, I got one question, Mayor, before we accept.
Okay.
For our next meeting, it will be after July 4th, and we have been extending the deal, allowing them to pop fireworks in the city limits. And I think we're going to continue to do that this year, because it'll be before our regular July meeting.
Yes, I
We're going to continue.
Depending.
I know that's what you are.
Yeah, depending on burn.
Depending on the burn ban.
Okay.
She made it, I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Both of them.
Opposes? Let the record reflect that is unanimously approved. Chief of Police monthly report.
Police Department monthly report for May 20th through June 16th. We made 50 arrests for the month. Year to date was 258. We wrote 30 citations here in the city. We worked 23 accidents. 16 were on major highways in the city, followed with 7 in the parking lot for a total of 23. We took 635 calls for the month, which is an average for this time of year. Besides everything is going smoothly. We're not anything major happening in the city.
I make a motion to accept the police report as stated.
Properly moved to accept. second. All in favor, say aye.
I'd like to say something if possible.
Good.
I'd like to say something, is that okay? This is Chief Lester's last month at a meeting, and I'd just like to officially and publicly thank him for his service that he's done throughout his term as Chief of Police.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Item number 11, Economic and Development Report.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. During this past month, we've been working on procuring and getting all the documentations necessary to close out the LGAP grant, Louisiana Assistance Program, Governmental Assistance Program, for $50,000. The governor has signed off on the documents, $20,000 for the fire truck that we're going to purchase. Also, the $30,000 for all new street signs, all signs, not just street signs, all signs in the city of Winsboro. All of this has been documented. We've sent in the paperwork necessary. It's been signed off on, and we are in the present time of presently in the process of ordering the signs and the fire truck for the department. Be more than happy to answer any questions. Also, we've been working on getting the documentation necessary for the farmers market program. The farmers market, we've worked with Mr. Eskew with Baton Rouge, and the farmers market project is moving forward. We have the engineering fees and design fees has been submitted to the state for reimbursement, and they have approved that through the state. And this program and this project will go forward step by step until it's complete, down to even picking the city council picking the different color or the color that the farmer's market needs to be. That will be a committee set by the mayor and whoever he wants to do that.
Scott, I have one question. And it's pertaining, what business is that's located right now in the old Coca-Cola plant?
That is BSI Industries. They build vessels for the oil and gas industry. They are doing an outstanding job, and it's a good, high-paying job for the city of Winsboro, and we are very proud and hope that they will expand in a short period of time.
I've been seeing those things out there.
Right. They do a great job at it. Yes, sir.
Got a question, I don't know if I directed you or to the mayor, but at the last meeting, we talked about some doors at the airport, and we also talked about some property to be purchased, and they're not on tonight's agenda. It was scheduled to be on tonight.
And that was the next thing I was gonna bring up, the doors at the airport. The airport manager was gonna bring that issue up for the city council to consider. But at the last council meeting, we did have the transfer of the property up at Kenlock Corporation property up behind there, or by there, and the city council asked to table that until they have an opportunity to look at it, to make sure that they understood what was going on with it. And I was going to ask the council that they want to bring that up and close out this. We have the we do have the highest bidder there, and all the paperwork that's necessary to do this. The attorneys and everything, everybody has looked at it. We've gone through the legal process, and it's all in process for the city council to approve it or disapprove it. But you'd have to take it off the table. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Gill, you put it on one table.
Table it until this meeting.
Right, that's correct.
But we don't have any paperwork in front of us that we are pressed to
right.
vote on tonight, so I'm gonna leave it on the table.
Okay, that is fine. That will be fine. We're working very diligently to get all of the paperwork necessary to reinstate the city of Winsboro from all the grant funds that we have out there that's reimbursable to the city. It's coming along slowly but surely. Is Brother George here? No. He's not here. We do have, we did receive about $145,000 for the airport reimbursement funds and about $19,000 on the state level. Am I correct on that, Judy?
Yes.
That has been reimbursed to the city for the construction work out there. We are working with the new projects at the airport, and I'm speaking on behalf of Brother George. We're working on the new projects that are out there. The lighting, which a contract has been let on that. Mr. Skipper can go. He knows a lot more about that than I do, because I'm not an electrician person. But we're going to totally redo the lighting and place the generator out there to ensure lighting for the airport facility 24/7. We have closed out three different projects for the airport. We've closed out the overlay and restoration of the airport runway itself. We've closed out the airport. It's a loading pad facility where they come in and the aerial applicators load up the fertilizer or any other type of chemicals necessary. We closed that out, and also we're in the process of closing out the lobby project at the city of Winsboro.
What are we going to have?
Fuel, at the present time, what we had to do is Mr. Laney was in control of the fuel and at his location. That has been turned back over to the city, and we are in the process right now of obtaining the proper telephone lines that we need, the computer system that we need. Hopefully this is going to be done within the next week. That is, I think, Brother George's goal, to make sure. Brother George has gone down to New Orleans. He is certified as a fuel tech in New Orleans, and I'm proud to say he went down there and spent all day and made 100 on his test. And he's working diligently on it. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
What is your pleasure?
Motion to accept the economic development report.
It's been properly moved to accept and seconded. All in favor say aye. Item number 12, community consider monthly report.
Good evening. We had 8 events for May. It was quite a busy month. One of them was civic, and the other of those 8, one was civic and one was actually a repast. Of those 8, only 3 had alcohol involved, and there were one for a college graduation party, a wedding, and 2 wedding receptions. All deposits were refunded. It was a very busy month, but a very good month for the city.
Have we gotten the garbage trash bins?
It's scheduled to be delivered this week.
Mayor, what is the status of the security system in that's supposed to be installed?
Mr. Dan Chase will meet with the city after July 1 with their.
last one. Have we made this building yet Wi-Fi?
Not yet, not yet. I'm getting in touch with AT&T to see if they can come in and set up Wi-Fi. Now, the only concern I really have with that is having to change the Wi-Fi password after every event, because if not, it'll be accessible to anybody who's ever had it. And people will be pulling off of it. So that's something I'm trying to figure out and look into before we just go ahead and just do Wi-Fi, because, you know, if you leave it open, then anybody can pull on it, and then when somebody's actually having an event, then it will make their computers or whatever run slower. So that's something we're working on. Yes, sir?
The purpose of the Wi-Fi, though, wouldn't be for these parties that we're having, right? It would be, I mean, to me, I would envision a company coming in for an in-house or something that would need Wi-Fi, but for a bar, a party thing, I mean,
Well, not necessarily a bar or party. Sometimes they have dinners where you have DJs and they will download songs and they will need access to Wi-Fi to actually do that.
Okay.
So,
And also the presentations too, using the board.
use the-
Those who have, maybe internet access on some type of presentation or whatever.
Right, yeah, I can see it for that, but okay, I didn't know the other one.
What are the DJs doing now?
What are you doing now?
Well, my company, we're BD Jam. We're the only ones I know in this facility right now that's utilizing for an event that's going to be of a party type or reception type, where we are using the screens. Everything we do, we audio and visual, hear you both with it. So we're using that as access. But right now, that doesn't require me to have any internet access, just the program. Mayor, make a motion that we accept the community center monthly report.
Second.
And it's properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item number 13, monthly finance report.
Council, in front of you, well, Friday, you should have received a copy of April and May's as-is financial reports, as requested of us Thursday in the special call meeting. We ask that you please keep in consideration that there are still subject to be errors in these reports, because we are not finished going in and doing a major cleanup, and we had to go back as far as July, the beginning of this fiscal year, with the errors and the corrections. So that's what's taking us kind of long. You know, at first we just went back to November, but when we make to November, we had to go back further and further. So we end up going way back to July, just coming forward, starting over. But here it is, as is, and
Mayor, and looking at the financial statements, I see we got some accounts that's way over budget that we're gonna have to look at doing some amendments. One is the, I'm looking at the city court, which is over the budget, 136.1%. City hall is over 62.2%. The street department is 63.8. I know we're still working on cleaning some of this stuff up, but it's all those, is those reflections accurate? Are those reflections that those, the high areas that's over, but way over budget accurate?
To some degree they are.
Okay. Skipper, could you, on that street department, have we had some major change that hit us in the street department for us way over budget?
Over budget in the street department's overtime.
Overtime? Also, I saw the auditing. Auditing, we had set aside 30,000, and it's over 120%. What happened? What cost us on that? There was an additional $5,000.
Right, when he had to travel back down to
resubmit that, he chose to resubmit that.
picked it up for half of that.
All right, there's no water bills there's no water revenue for April and May. I'm assuming that that's a mistake.
Most definitely. Has to be water. It's just some of the changes, like I say, in utility fund, that is utility fund. None of that was put in, from credit card payments to all, none of that was put in. So we had to go in and enter those deposits. And when we entered the deposits, we found out the credit card money wasn't put in at all. So we had to go back and do credit card interest first, then come back and do deposit.
Man, I'm looking at all these void, check, void.
Yes, ma'am, and that would have to do, Miss Betty, when we had our special call, the large amount of voided checks we had. When we went and researched those checks, if they were not used, we at that time had to void them, because that was taking away some of the money out of our funds. But those checks were still sitting there like active, when they were actually voided, and had never been, vendors had never received them and so forth. So you're gonna see a large amount of voids in both funds.
Then the total expense that you're showing here as far as the negative amount is still off.
Yes, sir, it's still off.
And to recover that amount is gonna be very difficult. I mean, you're gonna have to, I don't know where you're gonna find, how you're gonna do that, but.
We're still trying, Mr. Jones, that's all I can tell you at this time.
Because it's really gonna affect your net, it's gonna affect your debt to asset ratio when it comes to your budget for this upcoming fiscal year.
Exactly.
And so in the process of doing so, that's gonna mean that our margin, our cash flow margin is gonna be off. And that's gonna be difficult because we're gonna have to look, we need to have at least a 12 to 20% cash flow margin in order to really have something, stable and substantial to go into the next fiscal year. And this is gonna be tough to figure. Another thing on here, it does not, and I know you mentioned that some things were left off. I hope, and they may have been left off intentionally, and I understand that. But also, the USDA payments as far as this building is concerned, they're not on the May statement.
And
Therefore,
exactly.
that increases the amount of net income
Yes,
in that
sir.
negative figure.
Those are some of the changes we need to make as well, because those payments are directly taken out of the bank statement. So that's money we know that is there, or we're paying. It's just, these reports need to be, everything needs to be re-entered and coded correctly to give y'all.
So to look at the proposed budget for the upcoming year, then it's going, and once again, that distorts those figures that are on that budget because of what we're going to be looking at, because of what was used in this particular case. And of course, you still got June that you got to see what's going to happen there.
Yes, sir.
So we have to. And when are you going to look at reviewing that budget, that proposed budget for fiscal year 2014-15?
Your question, when we want to look at it?
We're going to review that, but there's a number of things that need to be looked at.
It does. We're ready, to go through it, first of next week. At least the first of next week.
I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Sure.
First of all, have we paid the bills to Main Street and Winsboro Economic Development?
Main Street? No, we have not. We're going to.
That was approved in the budget. So,
Yes.
and they've sent bills. So can we, their budget pretty well depends on us getting them the money that we budgeted for them.
Right. There are just some things that we've been concentrating on before this, but it's just something that's kind of slipped through right now. But we'll take care of it tomorrow.
There's no way that, can you let us know why we happier in the situation we're in?
What was the question?
We can't do that.
Can you let them know why we're in this situation? Sure, we can let them know why.
Yes, we had trouble with previous bookkeeper, and we're in the process right now of cleaning up some bad bookkeeping. Yes.
To Julia, if I may, when do you foresee kind of a window when we might have a little better figures on these? When you
Well, Mr. Craig, I don't want to give you an answer to that, and then I don't meet the deadline I give you. But I can tell you right now, in utility fund, we have made it up to April. In the general fund, we have made it to May. And that's with the help of both ladies in City Hall as well. They have been helping out a lot, the mayor, myself, and other help. We have been trying our best. So with us being in April now in one and May in the other, we're pretty much at a point where we, have the corrected information. We just have to enter it and wash it and put it to correct code, if you can.
I noticed some changes in the format. We are not overthinking our stories and bogging down into changing things that we shouldn't be, are we?
I can't answer that. I haven't done format.
Yes, we are. We were, different bookkeepers come in with different changes. We more or less went back to the Roxy style of entering the forms that she used for the upcoming year.
Watch out, please.
What is your pleasure? I see it. Yes, ma'am.
Who exactly is responsible for balancing the books and getting a financial statement together? There's got to be one person that is responsible to see that this is done.
The question is who's responsible for balancing the book?
Yeah, balancing the checkbook. I mean,
Yes.
it's just like working with a great big checkbook. Who does that?
Yes, yes, ma'am. We would prefer that we didn't call any person's name right now,
Isn't there
because,
somebody who has that job?
ma'am,
Isn't there a person who has that job?
yes, if it was, yes, yes.
So whose job is it now?
Excuse me?
Whose job is it now?
That's a personnel issue. We don't need.
Sorry?
Personnel issue. We can't discuss that.
Is it possible for us to get a list of city personnel and their salaries and their job duties? Is that a matter of public record?
Okay. We can do that.
Is that a matter of public record?
Yes.
I want to go on the record requesting that.
Okay. Yes.
That information to me is just being, because some don't even live in the city, so that's personnel, so why should that even be discussed? It's like I said,
That's what we're saying.
I make a motion to accept the financial statements. I asked. If we accept May financial statement. So if we accept May, we don't accept that because I didn't take it. So I make a motion to accept May financial statement.
Accept May.
Second. All in favor, say aye. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Nay. the record reflect motion passed. I'll take a note. Yes.
Before we adjourn, I would, we gave kudos to our police chief, sitting next to me. He's been in this a lot longer than me, but 8 years ago, I looked up Sonny Dumas as a mentor. He's done a great job as a councilman. If I had half the passion he had for this, I'd have twice as much passion. I move we adjourn.
Second? Second. Properly moved and second.